From our early age, our parents and society put tremendous energy into teaching us about material, scientific, and technical subjects, and very little education goes into psychological and emotional development. Our surroundings can be very worried about how good we'll be at maths or science, but no one worries about how good we'll be at relationships, kindness, joy, or creativity. We will spend hours learning about Newton's laws or World War II, and few or none learning about our emotions or how to regulate our nervous system. So we are left to find our own path and understand our own minds and emotions by ourselves, even though generations before us had probably the same issues. Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Sukaina, and in this video I will guide you through the essential steps to heal childhood trauma, from understanding its impact to implementing effective actions to hopefully inspire and empower you to take over your healing journey. When we come into this world, we are the only species born in a complete state of dependency. We require adults to meet our emotional and physical needs. We would cry when we're hungry, and we would cry when we're sad, until someone comes to help. Here we have a caregiver intervening to meet our needs and bring us to a regulated state. Unfortunately, sometimes for whatever reason, the needs goes unmet, either because of the absence of the intervention or the wrong response that does not match exactly what the child needs. Over time, for most of us, we accumulate lots of unmet or partially met needs that we grew up to have so many negative emotions in us, from frustration, anger to resentment. And the problem is, as a child, you're learning, you're so adaptive, and we take it all in. So as your need gets unmet or ignored, you start to fall yourself for a coping mechanism of avoidance, meaning you tell yourself that your needs simply don't matter, which obviously not true, because your job as an adult today is to care for yourself and meet your unique emotional, spiritual, and physical needs, because avoidance won't work for a long time. That's why we need reparenting in some way or another. What I mean by emotional needs is the need to authentically express yourself and feel heard and seen for who you truly are. It's nothing religious. Speaking from my own experience, I avoided my needs for so long. I even struggled to identify them. When I had a negative or strong emotion, I would just feel completely overwhelmed and I didn't know how to soothe myself. My coping tool was to avoid it with any method, Bridget Jones style sometimes, or anything else until it passes away. Until one day I was made aware of this through therapy, coaching, and reading lots of books on the topic. Which brings me to step number 1, and that is observe yourself and ask questions. The first area you want to explore is your needs. Did you get your needs met? And what were you modeled in childhood in terms of meeting those needs? Did your parents meet their own needs? I know that for me, my physical needs were met. I had a roof over my head, I had good meals, I wore nice clothes, I went to a good school, and we even traveled sometimes, which was a little bit confusing for me because when I looked at photos, it just seemed like I had the happiest childhood, and for a while I used to believe that. But when I dug deeper, I began to realize that my other needs were not entirely met. I grew up in a family where emotions and feelings were not talked about. I think in their attempt to protect us, my parents just kept us away from any conversation or discussing or even acknowledging any emotion or feeling. I also grew up with a religious mother where she always thought that everything happens for a good reason. Whenever something bad happens, it's because something good is gonna happen like later. So anytime something was wrong or someone was going through a bad experience, we would just cover it like nothing happens and everything was denied or explained with a fake reason. And please, I'm not blaming parents here. I think most of what they did come from a good intention. Let's also remember that they did not have the best education themselves, so maybe they weren't able to identify their own needs, let alone meet their children's. So ask yourself what needs you have. How were you taught to meet them? Do these methods still work for you now? And if not, what other things you can do to attempt to meet those needs in each of those areas? I'll give examples of answers to these questions later in this video, so keep watching. And if you like this video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up because this will help the algorithms suggest this video to more people. The second area you'll have to explore is suppressed feelings and how to understand and regulate our feelings. Some of us were raised in families where feelings were not discussed or only one feeling was accepted. I think you can relate to this if you are Asian or African. I know for myself that the only accepted feeling was stress, and if you have a good reason for it, like an exam coming or an event to host. All the other feelings like anger, sadness, fear, disappointments, or even positive ones like love were never talked about. So I haven't been modeled how to navigate those feelings. Therefore, the only way was to avoid them or deny them by doing something else. When you grow up like this, you end up with so many suppressed feelings and a very narrow emotional vocabulary. That's why it's very important to understand what are your suppressed feelings and where they came from. So to give you clarity in the areas where you'd like to build new habits. The last area you'll have to explore is your kid's sense of wonder. So again, go back to your childhood and find out if creativity and imagination were fostered in yourself. If the answer is no, you have to look into why. Sometimes we can be the artistic child, but our caregivers, for whatever reason, internalize messages that creativity and imagination is not important. A lot of older generation don't think so positively on creative or artistic activities. You'll often hear phrases like, artists don't make money, or art is not a career. Another reason you couldn't be creative in childhood is if you were living in a stressful environment, in a fight or flight mode. So you might think you're not creative or that you didn't get that talent, but the truth is everyone can be creative unless there is a physiological reason preventing it. In fact, our creativity comes from the prefrontal cortex, and this is the part of the brain responsible for planning, imagination, personality expression, and this is what makes us human and differentiate us from animals. But when we are in the flight or fight mode, our nervous system is activated. We are in survival mode, so it does not serve us to create or imagine. Your body is more focused on survival than on being playful and creative. Basically, your brain does not have time for that. So look back at your childhood and ask yourself if imagination and creativity were fostered. If not, ask yourself why. Is it because of some internal beliefs passed by your caregivers, or were you living in a fight or flight mode? As an adult, you can work on changing your beliefs, you can work on regulating your nervous system, and you can work on making some space for moments of spontaneity, creativity, and playfulness. Which brings me to step number 2, which is create a plan of action depending on your needs. If you struggle with physical needs, create a self-care routine for yourself. Prioritize sleep, exercising, healthy nutrition, spending time in nature, and meditating every day for at least 5 minutes or longer. But if you struggle with emotional regulation, you can start by doing some breath work. Practicing deep belly breathing, you can find plenty of breathing exercises videos on YouTube. Also, you can journal how you feel throughout the day, put names on emotions, notice what causes you to be triggered, plus allow any emotion to pass through you without judgment or resistance. And lastly, maybe some of us struggle with being joyful, playful, creative, or spontaneous. I know I have this problem. As adults, it's crucial to remember to play, to find hobbies we enjoy, to do something unplanned, to enjoy free time where nothing is scheduled, or just talk to a stranger, or do something you absolutely loved as a child. For me, taking dance classes was really helpful in this regard. I also remembered that I liked to act as a child, so I'm considering taking acting or theater classes next year. So those are a few habits you can start implementing to reparent yourself. Please understand that this is a lifelong process. There is no end point. This is a journey, so start small and build on that. And last step is celebrate your small wins. Remember, we are all capable of healing and being ourselves. We just have to learn and implement the tools to show up for ourselves consistently as the parent we needed. That's all for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you probably want to watch this one over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!